What's going on, guys? It's Colin here for NextGenTactics. And in case you didn't notice, due to the lack of a snazzy intro, this is not one of my entries in the official Battlefield 3 strategy series for NGT. It's just going to be a video, because I wanted to talk about a few things that aren't related to the gameplay, although I will talk about the game here in a little bit, because a bunch of you have sent me questions asking about, how do I defend in rush mode, having troubles with that. So, I'll talk about a few things that I've found to help me out and to be successful. I'm playing on the PC, this is Grand Bazaar, and because of the balance issues that come along with the higher player counts on PC, a lot of servers will run higher tickets on Rush, so the attackers have more opportunity in order to push up and attack. You got to hold them off for longer on defense, and on this base, that falls short. So, while we fail in defending this first base, why don't I talk a little bit about the other things that I had on the agenda for today? The first is that I want to wish Guns for Hire all the best in his new ventures. I'm sure that it's old news for you guys by now, but Guns has decided to leave NGT and is moving on to pursue other things and, taking a more fun approach to gaming, not putting out sort of the tactical content, and, I know that he has had a struggle with getting up the energy to make the tactical videos, and some of the games that he enjoys playing just haven't panned out this year. So he's had a lot of success with the Minecraft Dumb and Dumber series with Meatwagon, and I really do want to wish him all the best. I'm sure that he's going to be hugely successful in anything he does. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the highly anticipated patch for Battlefield 3. And word came out last week that this patch is actually going to be delayed. Chances are it's not going to hit in February. And that has a lot of people fairly disappointed. People that are dedicated in playing this game hours and hours and hours are getting frustrated with it and have been anxiously awaiting a patch for quite some time, because there are still some issues that do require some attention from DICE, if you will. And I gotta say, I'm one of those people to a certain extent, but real life has definitely gotten in the way of me playing a whole lot of video games. So when I do have some time to game, I'm going into it with a pretty lighthearted mindset, playing with a few friends that I know, and enjoying the game. That said, if this was my primary shooter and I was playing it 10 hours a week, or whatever the norm is for someone who is a hardcore gamer, I think I'd probably share in their frustration a little bit more. But that being said, some of the notes that have kind of been leaked, they're talking about some weapon buffs, some weapon nerfs, that sort of thing, and I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to the patch? Are you disappointed that it's not coming in February? I am thinking that Battlefield 3, much like other Battlefield titles, is going to be kind of like a fine wine. It is going to get better with age, but the longer that DICE waits to put out this patch, I think the more frustrated the player base gets. Now, one thing that I've read is that the weapon damage models on the assault rifles is actually going to be increased, and I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. Simply because, if you go back to the damage model for something like a Battlefield 2, they're very similar, but Battlefield 2 had notoriously bad hit detection, so yeah, it might have only taken 4 to 5 shots to kill, but you had to pull out more bullets on the guy in order to get that kill. Whereas with Battlefield 3, the hit detection I find is very, very good. What I don't find to be that great is the hit notification, especially on my connection, and that's because the game uses a client-side hit detection model. So what happens is I'm not being notified that I'm taking damage in a timely fashion in order to get to cover, and so I'm dead before I know it in a lot of cases. And I think that with the higher damage model on the assault rifles, that effect might be amplified a little bit, so I'm concerned about that. Otherwise, I'm hoping that, certain glitches and bugs, whether those be audio, reticle disappearing on your guns, that sort of thing, I do hope that those are addressed. It's going to be a pretty substantial patch, I would imagine, and, I'm just hoping that with additional community feedback, that the game is going to just continue to improve, because I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I know that there's DLC on the horizon, although no official announcements have been made, but I'm going to be playing this game as my primary shooter for some time to come, I would have to anticipate. So, on to the gameplay. Now, one thing that I notice a lot, and my team's doing it right here, and I'm sort of guilty as well. Because I'm hurt, I'm hopping on a health pack right here by the MCOM station, but our team is bunched up in the room around the objective. And what's going to happen is that a well-placed explosive is going to wipe about 4 or 5 of us out. And I mean, that puts a huge dent in your defense. If no one's left in the room to revive people, then they're going to waltz right in and take the crate. As you can see here, I'm standing here, but I'm only standing here because that's where the health pack is, and I was thoroughly damaged. So I wanted to kind of wait it out, take a few hits, try and go prone. I think I might pick up an assist. But eventually, I'm going to head back into the MCOM room to take some cover, and that's not where I want to be. Well-placed 320 M320 grenade, and I don't know how many he wiped out, 2, 3, 4 of us, but that was it. So they took down the crate, and now we are defending the second base. Now, the good thing about being pushed back is that I can kind of implement the strategy that I like to use in Rush, and that is to try and push forward a little bit. Not so far that you can't fall back quickly and get to the crates if they get armed, but you want to not allow the enemy to get too close to your base. And I've talked about this in my Rush attacking video where, I'm going to try and infiltrate the base. I'm going to try and secure an area ahead of the MCOM and then try and take it down. And that's where you're going to find being the most effective. Because if you sit back right on the crates, eventually you're going to let the attackers push into you, you're going to get destroyed, and they're going to take the base. So it's good to have a couple of people with eyes on the MCOM at all times, but you also want to have defensive players that are on the attack, that are trying to take down the ticket count, that are flanking the attackers if possible, and you're going to see a couple of times here, I'm going to push forward up the right-hand street, I'm going to try and flank behind them as they try and get out into this marketplace to take down the crate. We're actually going to lose one crate on this base as well, but I was in communication with one other person on the team, and we were doing a pretty good job. If one of us was on the attack, the other one would kind of lay back a little bit and play safety. We'd take turns doing that. He got a pile of kills in this game, and I didn't do too badly either. But if we felt that there was pressure coming from the attackers in one direction or the other, we were moving to cover that. We'd fall back if needed, and basically that's what you have to do. You can't have the entire team pushing forward. You can't have the entire team sitting back. You want to basically establish a forward line in front of the MCOM stations. You don't want to leave those stations in no man's land, but you also don't want to sit back too far because you're just too easy to pick off and push back. Now, Grand Bazaar is an infantry-heavy map, but what you'll find is that it has a lot of choke points, and that's one of the reasons why the server ticket counts tend to be higher. Though it'll get cranked up. In this one, it was 150, but it's not abnormal to see 100, 200 ticket servers. Here, I don't check my corner, and I'm going to get shot in the back. So, and that's not the only time I'm not going to check a corner in this game. I kind of got amped up and was rushing my gameplay a little bit. I'm going to try and get this flank, and I'm almost in position, and I kind of get tunnel vision sometimes, whether I'm attacking an MCOM or I'm almost in a really good position defensively, and by checking corners I could have done a lot more damage and been more effective. But I learn as I go, and I try and share the things I learn as I learn them, but I think that checking your corners is one of the fundamentals of playing first-person shooters, and sometimes when I get my eyes on the prize, I forget all about it, which is what separates me from the MLG pros, I suppose. But anyway, we are going to lose this crate right here. I'm going to try and go clear out any attackers that are lingering back here, because if they get a spawn point set up behind you, then it is bad news. So that's the other thing that you want to be careful of. If you are on the attack or you're pushing forward, you have to be aware. So if attackers get behind you, you have to fall back and clear them out, because they can keep spawning back there. They're going to cause you a lot of problems, and it's a whole lot easier to get in behind a defensive team and wipe them out than it is to try and just butt heads at the front line or in no man's land. So that's just something to note. Anyway, we are defending the second base now, and once again, I don't check my right-hand corner. Shot in the back again. So I was kind of not expecting anyone to be there, and I was obviously wrong. But I do manage to push back up and get the final kill to finish this game. Anyway, guys, if this is the first time checking out one of my videos, hope you enjoyed it. If so, leave a thumbs up. If not, leave a thumbs down. Let me know what I can do better. And my G2PO and YouTube channels will be linked in the description. I encourage you to check them out. Hope you have a great day, and I hope to be bringing you another official strategy guide next Monday. That's it for me, guys. Cheers. We'll talk soon.